I was forced to leave home at 18. "You'll regret this. No one will want you," my dad yelled. My mom just gave me a cold stare. I was hurt, but I packed my bags and left without a second thought. 10 years later, my phone buzzed nonstop. They were desperate for me to talk. At 18, I thought I knew everything, or at least enough to escape. I had spent my entire teenage years under the suffocating gaze of my parents, who saw me as nothing more than an extension of their ambitions. They had their own version of success, one that involved top-tier colleges, prestigious careers, and a life that looked perfect on paper. But none of it ever seemed to fit me. It wasn't that I didn't try. I did. I tried to be the kind of child they wanted. The kind of child who didn't question authority, who studied all night, who joined every extracurricular activity just to make them proud. But there was always this feeling inside of me, this nagging feeling that I wasn't enough. No matter how hard I worked, no matter how many A's I brought home or how much I did what was expected of me, there was always something I could do better, always a higher bar to meet. And then came the day that would change everything. I had just come home from another disastrous attempt at studying for my chemistry final. I had no idea what I was doing wrong, but the pressure to get into a good school was starting to feel unbearable. My dad was away on a business trip, but my mom was sitting in her usual spot in the living room. Her eyes were fixed on the TV, but I knew better than to think she wasn't watching me. I tried to tell her how stressed I was, how the weight of her expectations was starting to crush me. But all she said was, "Life is tough. You'll never make it if you can't handle a little pressure." I stood there for a moment, trying to control the tightness in my chest, but it was like a dam breaking. "It's not just a little pressure, Mom. It's everything. You want me to be perfect, but I'm not. I can't do this anymore. I'm not you. I'm not Dad. I don't want your life." She didn't even look at me. "What you want is irrelevant. We've given you everything, every opportunity. You can't throw it all away now." The words stung more than I cared to admit, but I kept my ground. "I'm not throwing anything away, Mom. I just want to be me. I don't want to live my whole life trying to be who you want me to be." That's when she finally turned to face me, her expression colder than I had ever seen. "You think you can just walk away and everything will be fine? You'll regret it. No one will want you. You'll be a failure. You'll be begging to come back." It felt like a slap across the face, but I refused to let her see me cry. Just then, my father walked through the door, his face hard, his briefcase in hand. He looked from me to my mom, his eyes narrowing. "What's going on here?" He barked and I felt a knot of anxiety in my stomach. I'm just saying, I'm tired of trying to live up to what you want me to be. I'm not perfect. I'm not going to be this ideal child you've created in your minds." My father's face flushed with rage. "You think you're the first person who's ever had it tough? You think you can just give up and walk away from all this? You're lucky we've given you everything. Lucky we didn't throw you out a long time ago." I could feel my pulse racing, my body shaking with a mix of fury and pain. "Maybe it's you who needs to let go," I said, my voice trembling but full of defiance. "Maybe it's you who need to accept that I'm not going to be who you want me to be." The room went silent for a long moment. Then my father stepped forward, his voice low and dangerous. "Fine, you want to leave? Go ahead. But don't think for a second you can come back. You'll regret it. No one in the real world will give a damn about you." My heart pounded in my chest, but I didn't back down. I just looked him straight in the eyes and said, "I don't need you. I'm leaving." My mother said nothing, just gave me a cold stare. And with that, I turned around, grabbed my backpack, and walked out the door. I could hear my father's voice echo behind me, telling me that I would fail, that I would be nothing. But I didn't care. I walked down the street, the night air cold against my skin. I didn't know where I was going, but I couldn't stay. I couldn't live under their thumb any longer. The first few nights were rough. I found a cheap hostel to stay in, borrowing enough money from a friend to get by. I had no job, no plan, just the raw anger and hurt that had been building up over years. But slowly, I started to figure things out. I found work as a waitress, then a barista, anything I could do to scrape by. I moved into a small, rundown apartment and started to learn what it meant to be truly independent. It wasn't easy. There were days when I wanted to quit, days when I doubted everything I had done. But every time I thought about going back home, about falling into the trap of their expectations, something inside of me pushed me forward. I wasn't going back. I couldn't. And as the years passed, I started to see who I really was. I discovered that I didn't have to live up to anyone's standards but my own. I built a life for myself, one where I made my own rules, my own choices. I went back to school, eventually landing a job in a field I loved. I made friends who supported me, who didn't judge me for not being perfect. But as I was building my life, I couldn't shake the feeling of loss that lingered. I had cut off my parents completely, not out of hate but out of necessity. They had made it clear that they didn't want me unless I fit into their mold, and I couldn't do that anymore. But deep down, there was always a piece of me that wondered, what if they needed me? 10 years passed, 10 long years of silence. Then, one morning, my phone started buzzing. The first missed call was from an unknown number. I ignored it. The second came, then a third. My chest tightened with unease. I recognized the area code. It was from home. That I stared at my phone, my thumb hovering over the screen. Why are they calling now? The voicemail notification popped up, and I pressed play. Sweetheart, please pick up. We need to talk. Your father's, he's very ill. Please just call us back. My heart stopped. My mother's voice was shaky, breaking with emotion. It was the first time in years that she had sounded human. I listened to the rest of the message in silence, my mind racing. I hadn't heard from them in so long. I hadn't thought about them in so long. But now, hearing her voice like that, it felt like a weight was settling on my chest. They were asking for my help. After all the things they had said to me, all the ways they had tried to mold me into someone I wasn't, they were asking me to come back. I sat on the edge of my bed, holding my phone in my hands. I felt the urge to ignore it, to keep living my life without them. But I couldn't shake the thought that maybe, just maybe, this was my chance to find some kind of peace, to understand what had really happened between us. I took a deep breath, wiped the sudden tears from my eyes, and called my mother back. Hello! Her voice cracked, like she had been waiting by the phone all this time. I'm here, Mom. I'll be there.